Okay, so here's a simple pressure regulator design. This works with any system that uses fluid or air and a pump and a tank or reservoir. So first off, you have your feed line that goes to a pump, right? The pump then pressurizes the fuel and runs it down. We're just using fuel as an example. It can be anything really, to a carburetor, right? Or a fuel injection or anything like that. And it needs a certain PSI to run. A lot of people will use these dial fuel pressure regulators that have kind of a floating needle and seat going inside of them that constantly moves up and down based on the pressure variation in the two chambers inside. And it has a lot of working parts, and it's very, expensive. And you have to get different ones for different pressure ranges, right? This is basically how you make that system very simply. So all you do is in your pressure line outside the pump, you put a T in, and that goes to a shutoff valve that's attached to a return line that goes back to the tank. Now what happens is your shutoff valve, this is your line going to the tank, and this is your line coming from the pump. Now, if you shut the valve off all the way, this line will be at the maximum pump pressure, whatever that is, right? If you open the valve, let's say 10%, you're letting 10% of the fuel or whatever flow back into the tank, which lowers the pressure over here. Now it's pretty exact. I've done this to two of my vehicles, my old carbureted vehicles. I run a 60 PSI electric pump to an old 2-barrel carburetor that uses about 5 to 9 PSI to run. And all I did was put a shutoff valve teed into the pressure line. And I keep the valve closed probably 40%, maybe 60, somewhere around there. And that gives me just about 5 PSI at the carb, and all that excess pressure back feeds into the tank. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating a controlled leak, right? That leak runs back into the tank. This can work for water systems, fuel systems, air, all kinds of different things, whatever you want. But anyway, there you go. It's a real simple way of making a pressure regulator. Oh, and this works for any PSI pump. You don't have to change the valve, The valve I used was a propane valve, which is good for gasoline and different things like that. And that's it.